Ever since I was a kid, I had dreamed of playing in college. Now, my dream was a reality. I had made the team as a freshman. I was living my dream. But something wasn't right. I was struggling. I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't good enough. Every time I stepped on the ice, the pressure mounted. I felt the weight of expectations. The eyes of my teammates, my coach, everyone seemed to be on me. Each missed pass, each fumble felt like a hammer blow to my confidence. My heart pounded, my hands trembled. I felt like an imposter.
John's dorm room felt like a sanctuary from the storm of his thoughts. It was a small, messy space, but it was his. He would often sit on his bed, staring at the wall, lost in thought. He would replay every mistake, every missed opportunity, over and over in his head. He couldn't understand why he was struggling so much. He had always been a good player. What had changed? He knew he had the talent. He had the drive. But something was holding him back. Something was gnawing at his confidence, whispering doubts in his ear. He felt like he was drowning in a sea of self-doubt.
People often ask me, what was the hardest part of your freshman year? The hardest part was battling my own doubts and fears. How did you overcome it? They ask. I had to dig deep, find my inner strength, and keep pushing forward. It wasn't easy, but I learned that perseverance is key, and that's what got me through. Practices were the worst. I would skate onto the ice with a knot of anxiety in my stomach. The ice, usually my haven, now felt like a battleground. I loved the feel of the cold air on my face, the sound of the blades cutting through the ice. But now, all I felt was pressure. Every drill, every scrimmage seemed to expose my flaws. I would hesitate, second-guessing myself. I would miss passes, the puck bouncing off my stick like it was cursed. My teammates, once a source of camaraderie, now seemed distant, their laughter echoing in my ears like a cruel joke. I felt like I was letting everyone down, my coach, my team, myself.
Game days were even worse. The roar of the crowd, once exhilarating, now sounded like a chorus of judgment. John would start on the bench, his heart pounding in his chest, his mind racing. He would watch his teammates, their movements fluid and confident, and he would feel a pang of envy. He yearned to be out there with them, to feel the thrill of the game, to contribute to the team's success. But the fear was paralyzing. He was afraid of making a mistake, of costing his team the game. So he sat there on the edge of the action, a prisoner of his own self-doubt. One night, John was sitting in his dorm room, staring blankly at his hockey gear scattered on the floor. His roommate Sam walked in, a concerned look on his face. Sam was a good guy, always up for a laugh, always there to lend an ear. He had noticed John's withdrawn demeanor, the way he would flinch at the mention of hockey, the way his smile seemed strained.
Hey man, you okay? You've been pretty quiet lately.
I don't know, man. I just feel like I'm in over my head.
What do you mean? What's going on?
I don't think I'm cut out for this. I'm not good enough.
Hey, come on man. Don't say that. You're a great player. You wouldn't be here if you weren't.
It's different here, Sam. Everyone's so much better, so much faster. I feel like I'm dragging the team down.
John's words hung in the air, heavy with doubt and despair. Sam listened intently, his brow furrowed with concern. He knew John was being too hard on himself. It wasn't just a game, it was a commitment.
Look, John, everyone feels a little overwhelmed at first. It's a big step up from high school. The competition is tougher. The stakes are higher.
The loneliness was almost unbearable.
John thrived on camaraderie, the bonds forged through sweat and sacrifice. But now, he felt a chasm separating him from the team. They glided effortlessly, synchronized, while John struggled. He felt like he was skating through quicksand.
During drills, I watched my teammates laugh and execute plays. I longed to join, but doubts held me back.
The locker room felt like a prison cell. John sat in the corner, avoiding eye contact. He couldn't bear their disappointment. John felt utterly alone, his dreams slipping away.
Have you talked to Coach Wilson about this? He's seen it all, you know. He might have some advice, some drills you could work on, something to help you get your groove back.
I don't know, Sam. What if he thinks I'm just making excuses? What if he decides I'm not cut out for this level and benches me for the season?
Sam placed a reassuring hand on John's shoulder, his expression a mix of empathy and determination.
Listen, man, I know it's scary, but you gotta trust me on this. Coach Wilson, he's tough, yeah, but he's fair. And more importantly, he wants you to succeed. He wouldn't have recruited you if he didn't see your potential.
A glimmer of hope flickered in John's eyes, a faint spark in the darkness that had enveloped him. Sam's words, spoken with such conviction, offered a lifeline, a path out of the labyrinth of self-doubt. Maybe, just maybe, Coach Wilson held the key to unlocking the potential that John felt trapped inside him. It was a risky move, a leap of faith, but as John looked at his friend's unwavering support, he knew he had to at least try. The walk to Coach Wilson's office felt like a mile, each step heavy with apprehension. John's stomach churned with a mixture of anxiety and anticipation. He had never sought out a coach for help before, but this time felt different. He knew he couldn't do it alone.
The hallway was eerily quiet. I could hear my own footsteps echoing off the walls. This was about more than just hockey. This was about facing my fears.
As he approached Coach Wilson's office, John felt a wave of nausea. He could see his reflection in the glass door. He took a deep breath, trying to steady his nerves. He had to believe that Coach Wilson would help him. He had to believe there was a way back to the joy he once found in the game.
John raised his hand, his knuckles rapping lightly against the wooden door.
Come in.
John took a deep breath, pushing open the door and stepping into the coach's office. The air was thick with the scent of leather and stale coffee, a familiar aroma that transported John back to countless pre-game pep talks and post-game analyses. Coach Wilson sat behind his desk, his imposing frame hunched over a stack of game tapes. He looked up as John entered, his expression unreadable. John's heart pounded in his chest as he met the coach's gaze, his mouth suddenly dry, his carefully rehearsed words evaporating into thin air.
John, have a seat. What can I do for you?
John lowered himself into the chair opposite the coach's desk, his hands fidgeting nervously in his lap. He felt a wave of self-consciousness wash over him, acutely aware of his own awkwardness, his inability to articulate the turmoil that raged within him.
Coach, I need to talk to you about something. I'm not sure I belong on this team.
The words hung in the air, heavy with doubt and uncertainty. John held his breath, bracing himself for Coach Wilson's reaction. Silence descended upon the room, a tense, suffocating silence that seemed to amplify the pounding of John's heart. He dared not look at the coach, fearing the judgment he might see in his eyes. Finally, Coach Wilson leaned back in his chair, his gaze fixed on John.
Why do you say that, John?
His voice was surprisingly calm, devoid of the anger or disappointment that John had feared. John took a deep breath, relieved that he hadn't been met with immediate dismissal.
I just feel like I'm not good enough. I'm making too many mistakes. I'm not keeping up with the pace of the game. I'm letting the team down. I don't know what's wrong with me, Coach. I've never played this badly before.
Coach Wilson listened patiently, his expression unreadable. When John finished speaking, he remained silent for a moment, as if weighing his words carefully. John shifted uncomfortably in his seat, his anxiety growing with each passing second. Finally, Coach Wilson spoke, his voice low and measured.
John, you're not the first player to walk through that door feeling the way you do, and you won't be the last. Self-doubt is a powerful opponent, John. It can cripple even the most talented athletes.
John looked up at Coach Wilson, his brow furrowed in confusion.
But Coach, you've seen the way I've been playing. I'm making mistakes I shouldn't be making. I'm letting the team down. I just don't understand how I can fix this. How can I be confident when I'm playing so poorly?
Coach Wilson leaned forward, his expression softening with understanding. He reached for a glass of water on his desk, taking a slow sip before responding.
John, confidence isn't about being perfect. It's not about never making mistakes.
He paused, letting his words sink in before continuing.
Confidence is about trusting yourself, believing in your abilities even when things get tough, even when you make mistakes. You see, John, every great player, every legend of this game, they've all made their share of mistakes. They've all faced adversity, they've all felt the sting of defeat, but what sets them apart is their ability to learn from those experiences to come back stronger, more determined than ever before.
John listened intently to Coach Wilson's words, his mind racing to process this new perspective. He had always viewed mistakes as failures, as evidence of his inadequacy, but Coach Wilson was suggesting something different, something radical. That failure wasn't the opposite of success, but rather a stepping stone on the path to greatness.
John, failure is not the end. It's an opportunity to learn, to grow, to become a better player than you were before.
Coach Wilson stood up from his desk, walking over to a shelf lined with trophies and plaques, each one a testament to years of hard work and dedication. He picked up a worn-out hockey puck, its surface scratched and faded, and handed it to John.
You see this puck, John? This represents every mistake I've ever made on the ice, every missed shot, every bad pass, every game I lost.
He paused, his gaze fixed on the puck in John's hand.
But you know what, John? I wouldn't trade a single one of those mistakes, because they taught me more than any victory ever could. They taught me resilience. They taught me humility. They taught me the importance of never giving up on myself, no matter how tough things got.
John turned the puck over in his hands, feeling its weight, its history.
What you're going through now, John, it's a test, and I believe in you.
John looked up at his coach, a wave of gratitude washing over him. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but he wasn't alone. As he left the coach's office, John carried with him newfound hope, whispering of a brighter future. The next morning, John woke up before his alarm, a mix of nervous energy and quiet determination.
Today, I will push myself, test my limits, and embrace the challenge.
He pulled himself out of bed, his muscles aching, but his spirit felt lighter. The arena was eerily quiet as John stepped onto the ice, the morning light casting long shadows. He started slowly, stretching his muscles, getting a feel for the ice beneath his feet. As John skated laps, he noticed a figure emerge from the tunnel. It was Ryan, one of the team's star players.
Hey man, heard you were putting in some extra work.
John hesitated, caught off guard by Ryan's offer.
Sure.
To John's surprise, Ryan didn't just offer generic advice. He broke down complex moves into smaller steps, showing John subtle shifts in weight and techniques. As they practiced, John found himself relaxing, his movements becoming more fluid. He and Ryan fell into a rhythm, their laughter echoing through the empty arena. For the first time in weeks, John felt a sense of joy returning to the game. As they took a break, Ryan turned to John.
You're a good player, John, but you're letting your fear get in the way.
John nodded slowly, his mind racing with Ryan's words. He knew he had the talent, the work ethic, and now, the support he needed to succeed. The air crackled with anticipation as John and his teammates took the ice.
Trust yourself.
He had put in the work, honed his skills, and faced his fears. Coach Wilson's voice was calm and steady as he addressed the team.
Trust yourselves, trust each other, play your game.
The first period was a blur of motion, a chaotic dance of flying pucks and clashing bodies. John fought to keep up, his lungs burning, his muscles screaming. He made a few mistakes, but this time John refused to listen to doubt. He took a deep breath, centering himself, and focused on the task at hand. The game was a seesaw battle, each team trading blows, the score remaining agonizingly close. The final period arrived, the tension in the arena thick. Coach Wilson called John's line onto the ice for one final push. The puck came towards John, a blur of black rubber against the white ice. He caught it cleanly, his stick an extension of his will.
Got it.
The crowd held its breath as the puck soared through the air.
Yes, we did it.
The puck slammed into the back of the net, the red light flashing.
I trusted myself. I really did it.
John realized that confidence wasn't about perfection. It was about perseverance. The roar of the crowd faded as John walked back into the locker room.
I really did it. I faced my fears.
He had faced his fears, the ones that whispered he wasn't good enough.
It wasn't just about the win. It was about realizing what confidence really means.
He had broken through the ice of self-doubt and emerged stronger, ready to embrace the challenges ahead. As John progressed through his college years, the memory of that pivotal game remained etched in his mind. He faced challenges, setbacks, and self-doubt. but he carried invaluable lessons, understanding confidence as a journey. He transformed into a confident leader.
I see myself in them, the younger players. I need to help them.
He embraced his role as a mentor, sharing his story and offering encouragement. John's journey on the ice became a metaphor for life itself. The ice, once a symbol of his fears, transformed into a canvas for self-expression. He learned that the ice within could be melted away by his determination.
I can melt away the fear with my determination.
Years later, John would still find himself drawn back to the rink. He would remember the journey, the battles fought and won, the ice within that had melted away.